All right, I'd like to say all praises to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders at Great Millstone. Honor to all the brethren out here doing the work in the will of the Father in truth and sincerity. And this is your 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 fellow laborer, Arya. All right, back with another lesson. And once again, just like my past video from yesterday, well, I think it was 2 days ago, or maybe it was even 3. These days go by so fast, you can't even really keep up with them no more. But like in my past video, we we right back to the same scripture again, man. When I say Esau, the so-called white man, it's not playing, man. When I tell you that he's pushing this agenda swiftly because he knows that he have a short time, man. Hey, man, I'm dead serious about it, man. All right, this Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil, aka Esau, aka the so-called white man, is come down unto you having great wrath, because he know that he have but a short time. Yeah, listen, man, the so-called white man knows that his rulership is almost over with, man. So he's finna come down having great wrath, man. He's finna try to push his agenda of reaching his goal. And what is his goal? To having total control, man, of implementing his new world order, his one world government, man. And this is what we finna get into, man. All right, so in my last video, I showed you how you had Bill Gates, aka Bill Gates, going around buying up all this farmland, and now all of a sudden, now we have what? We have what they call food shortages on the horizon, man. And that is the pandemic that they're going to use to implement the rest of their new world order, man. All right. And the brother Gabar from the St. Louis camp, he did a video on how I didn't even know about it, but he did a video on how Bill Gates is behind this Similac shortage, man. All right. He's even behind the scenes on that too, man. So Bill Gates is behind the scenes on most of these agendas, man, when it comes to these different pandemics that's gonna hit that they planning and plotting and scheming, man. And this next pandemic that they plotting, planning and scheming is the food shortage pandemic, man. This is the pandemic that they're gonna use to enforce the rest of their plans, man, which is gonna bring forth the rest of the prophecies of the scriptures, man. All right, this food shortage is what's gonna bring in the hour of temptation, which is gonna bring in the implementation of the MOTB, all right, of accepting that CHIP, man. All right, so let's get into this article, and I got the video, so I'm gonna show you this article right here, but I'm gonna plug the video in it where the woman is speaking about it, man. All right, and this article, it reads, May 22nd, the World Health Organization, or known as the WHO, plans to strip 194 nations and the U.S. of sovereignty. So what this is talking about is how the World Health Organization has been in talks ever since the pandemic happened of basically stripping all nations of sovereignty, meaning your rights, all right, well, what you call your so-called rights, all right, your Bill of Rights, your amendments, all right, your constitutional rights, all that's gonna be stripped away, man. Which you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, you never had no rights, man. All you had was liberties, man, and all your liberties are being taken away, and they finna be taken away, man. But this is for these nations, these heathens out here that think they got they rights, man. They rights about to be taken away from them, man. All right. So everything that you people know about America, everything that you know about constitutional rights and Bill of Rights and Amendment 1, 2, 3, 4, 13, and so forth and so on, man, all that shit is about to be wiped away, man. All right. As soon as May 22nd come in, from May 22nd through I think like the 28th, I believe, they're going to be having talks, and then they're going to have a vote. And you best believe that vote will pass through, man. All right, that vote will pass through. And all your so-called rights, your liberties is about to be thrown out the window, man. Soon as the next pandemic come through, and that next pandemic is the food shortage, man. All right, is the famine. That is what they're going to use, man. And when they bring, man, listen, man, when that sets in, this World Health Organization going to come through with the UN, the blue hats. And it's going to be a whole new ball game, man, because they going to be setting the rules, man. The rules will not be set by your congressmen, by your senators, all right, by your government. No, the rules are going to be set by the New World Order, which they will be going up under the name of the World Health Organization, man. And whatever they set in stone, that's what's going to be done throughout the whole world, man, throughout the whole earth, man. And that's why the scriptures in Revelation chapter 12, it said, woe unto the earth, man. It's going to, whatever they say is going to happen in the earth, man. And you best believe one of the things that they're going to implement is, if you want food, if you want health service, you got to get that CHIP, man. Point blank period, man. They gonna bring, this is how the hour of temptation is gonna come into play, man. Point blank period, man. So, matter of fact, we're gonna read some of this article, then the video gonna play. Then I'll play the video, all right? So, the WHO is attempting to push through changes to a treaty that would give them global control over health worldwide. This helps fulfill some of the goals of the WEF's Great Reset. And who is the WEF? The World Economic Forum, Great Reset. Mr. Damn Dr. Diabolical himself, Schwab. All right. And if you don't know who he is by now, then you literally out the loop, man. All right. Everybody should know who this character is. All right. The president of the World Economic Forum. All right. Mr. All About the Great Global Reset, the fourth industrial revolution, merging computer with humans. All right, wanting to make you simpletons, some damn cyborgs out here, man. And listen, man, all you people that got that Maxine Waters, got that juice, all right, to keep your job, you took the needle to keep your job. Hey man, when they turn on these 5G towers, man, these different frequencies start to roll out. Hey man, prepare to be sick, man. Prepare to be sick as hell, man. And some of you gonna die, man. When they change these different frequencies, man. And it's all gonna be labeled up under a pandemic, man. And like I said, this is how they're gonna be able to transition power from sovereign power to the World Health Organization, which ain't nothing but the New World Order, man. Which ain't nothing but a one world government, man. This is how they're gonna do it, man. It is a massive power grab that takes away a nation's sovereignty rights to determine its own health standards. See that? So no longer will the Congress, the senators, the government of a nation have a say-so on what goes on. The state and local and the city public officials have a say on what should happen and what should be established. No, all that shit is gonna be wiped away from them. They're gonna have no say-so, and whatever the World Health Organization say do, they're gonna have to implement it, man. And if they don't implement it, they're gonna get sanctions put on them, man. That's the ramifications, man. A decision will be made by vote on May 22nd through the 28th. So this is when it's going to be made. And you best believe it's going to get passed, man. All right. Like I stated in my last video, man, Esau, hey, he got these space satellites. He see the imagery of the chariots of Israel, the chariots of God, or what the world in the call UFOs. He see those chariots on their way to this planet, man. So he knows he have but a short time. So he's finna implement in and everything he got to implement to try to pull off his goal, man. And his goal is to establish his one world order, man. So a decision will be made by vote on May 22nd through the 28th at the World Health Organization World Health Assembly. 2/3 of the Senate does not have to vote for it. It's a rule change, but it's a devastating one. You see that? So once this is implemented, man, hey, your local governments, your state governments, your federal government has no say, man, once a pandemic hits. And they could say and they could label whatever as a pandemic, man. They could say a water shortage, that's a pandemic. They could say a food shortage, that's a pandemic. Hell, if 10 people catch the flu, they could just, hey, that's a pandemic. And it can happen, and this pandemic can happen in any one of those 194 countries that's a part of this assembly, all right, that's voting. If one of those pandemics happen in one of those countries, then the what's the word I'm looking for? Then the results that they decide to put on that country to stop the pandemic, they get put on all 194 states that's a part of the agenda. So what's good for one is good for all. That's how they rolling, man. So if you ain't been paying attention to Shanghai over there in China, so they got that pandemic going on, right? So the same implementations that they got going on over there, if the World Health Organization see that they say, oh, that's suitable, like, yeah, we're gonna implement that across the board, and they could implement it across the board, man. And your government, your federal government, your state government, your local city, they can't do nothing about it but do it. And if they don't do it, they get sanctions put on them, man. Point blank, period, man. And like I said, this is what's gonna bring in the full agenda, man. Because you best believe that MOTB, that CHIP, that's what's up next, man, to be implemented, man. So with that said, I'm gonna stop speaking on that, and I'm gonna let the video do the rest, man. So you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which you are the biblical Israelites, you need to wake the hell up and understand what's going on, man. Point blank, period, man. We almost at the end of this thing for real, man. Dead serious, man. So I'd like to say all praises to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders at Great Millstone. Honor to all the brethren out here doing the work in the will of the Father in truth and sincerity. And peep out the video. Shalom.
Coming off the back of the COVID-19 pandemic, the World Health Organization is proposing a new pandemic treaty they are hoping will be accepted by enough member countries to become a reality by 2024. According to Dr. Tedros, the World Health Organization director, the COVID-19 pandemic has shone a light on the many flaws in the global system to protect people from pandemics. The most vulnerable people going without vaccines, health workers without needed equipment to perform their life-saving work, and me-first approaches that stymie the global solidarity needed to deal with a global threat. And the proposed pandemic treaty would aim to solve these issues. But when taking a deeper look at the treaty itself, there are a number of concerning things people of the world might want to consider before heading down this path. Here to break this down with me is Shabnam Palesa Mohammed, a member of the steering committee for the World Council for Health. All right, welcome, Shabnam. Why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about what the World Health Organization Pandemic Treaty is?
So the World Health Organization intended or proposed pandemic treaty, as we understand it from the little bits of information coming out from the establishment, essentially gives the WHO an inordinate amount of power to make decisions in sovereign countries as to how people live and how they deal with pandemics, from lockdowns to mandates over treatments, and to really what people have started to consider a one-size-fits-all approach, which to date has actually not worked. And so this would be a direct threat on the sovereignty of a country to make decisions for itself. It's unnecessary, it's expensive, it's going to cost countries millions to participate in the treaty process, as well as really erode the foundations of democracy in each country, many of whom have actually not even heard about this proposed pandemic treaty that the WHO intends to impose on member states around the world.
And when are they looking at starting up this pandemic treaty?
So they've started the process last year with discussions. They formed an intergovernmental negotiating body, and they've now formed a working group to decide how this process will work in terms of this treaty and getting the buy-in of the various member states, many of whom have already signed up to the commentary that was released. And of course, again, most countries don't know about this, but it certainly does present a very serious challenge to sovereignty. And I believe that they intend to confirm the treaty at the World Health Assembly in 2024. Now, the reason why I say I believe, and I don't say so with certainty, is because we know that circumstances, whether true or not, could be used to expedite this treaty and say, well, it's urgent for us to actually put it into place now in 2022, again, without public participation, which in our view, as the World Council for Health, certainly means that it is undemocratic, it is unconstitutional, and therefore makes the treaty invalid and unlawful.
Right. Yeah. And so I think one of the questions here is like there's about 194 countries that are, part of the World Health Organization as member states. How is it that the World Health Organization in this case would make sure that whatever they set forth would end up being, I guess, by law, all of the 194 countries would have to participate?
Right. So they would need to go through a voting process at the World Health Assembly, and by a 2/3 majority can pass this treaty. But the other part that's very important to remember in terms of conventions and treaties signed via bodies like the WHO, which of course are not democratically elected, is that if a country signs up for the treaty and then decides it does not want to subscribe to this treaty or it does not want to enforce that aspect of the treaty, sanctions can be imposed against that country, which of course has massive socio-political and socio-economic implications for any country that decides we actually don't subscribe to this anymore. We've seen what the WHO has done historically in terms of its many failures. Firstly, in terms of its track record, in terms of corruption, one can easily research the WHO and its history of corruption. And of course, Joe, that is intrinsically linked to conflict of interest. So if you've, of course, read the first open letter by the World Council for Health on the WHO's proposed pandemic treaty, you will see that we outlined the following: that the WHO cannot be allowed to control the World Health agenda nor enforce biosurveillance. While it receives funding from public sources belonging to the people, it is caught in a perpetual conflict of interest because it also receives substantial funding from private interests that use their contributions to influence and profit from WHO decisions and mandates. And for example, of course, the Gates Foundation and the Gates-funded Gavi Vaccine Promotion Alliance contribute over $1 billion a year. So we're not dealing with a democratic institution or body that serves the needs of its people. And while this may be one treaty of many, Joe, that need to be challenged, it certainly is a way to bring people together to realize that the WHO should not be making any decisions about the world's health in future.
Yeah, I mean, it's the implications seem rather large here, and I wonder, this is a pandemic treaty, but is it possible that it could extend into other health measures as well, or is it only if some form of viral pandemic were to take place?
Well, while it does say pandemic preparedness and response, given the WHO's constitution, and I would like to read certain clauses from it to you, one understands the inordinate amount of power that this institution has and how this treaty can be used using the WHO's constitution to essentially make decisions about any aspects of health. If you look at Article 2 of the WHO's constitution, in order to achieve its objective, The functions of the organization shall be to act as the directing and coordinating authority on international health work, to propose conventions, agreements, regulations, make recommendations, to establish and revise as necessary nomenclature of diseases. So the naming of diseases, whether or not experts concur that this is in fact a new disease, whether it's a pandemic or not. And we know the WHO has in fact changed the definition of what a pandemic actually is. Causes of death, again, a very controversial topic as to, even with regards to COVID-19, as to what was the actual cause of death, and the inflation of figures, public health practices, standardizing diagnostic procedures such as highly problematic PCR, to develop and establish international standards with regards to food, biological and pharmaceutical and similar products. And Clause V of Article 2, Joe, to generally take any necessary action to attain the objectives of the organization. So this is far-reaching power. And while it may seem one treaty and may seem a good idea in theory to those who don't understand the implications, for us at the World Council for Health, it clearly represents a power grab, consolidating the undemocratic mandate and lockdowns, etc., that have been forced upon people, sort of conditioning them to accept a new normal, and paves the way for these digital vaccine IDs, no access to services, places, and products, and constant biosurveillance.
Mm-hmm. It becomes interesting because the concept of almost a one world health governing body, it's not a concept that is all that far-fetched when you consider what this treaty is, although that concept is often stated as conspiratorial. Is it too far-fetched to say this is a bit of a one world sort of health policy?
Not at all, because the Director General of the WHO, Tedros, who is not in fact a medical doctor, himself speaks in that language of one health, one world, one WHO. In other words, one size fits all, what we say goes. But when people are harmed through their policies, then of course they have no accountability because of diplomatic immunity that the WHO has given itself. And so this is not an organization that countries should be entrusting their healthcare to.
So we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is will get attention this time.